Hello and welcome to my YouTube tutorial. In this video, I'm going to teach you detailed and simplified method of cutting and sewing 6 pieces Ankara skirts. 6 pieces skirt comprises of 6 panels, 3 at the front and 3 at the back. This is how each of the panel look like. We have 6 of them like this, but there are little modification to most of them. The combination of the 3 panels at the front are usually smaller than the combination of the 3 panel at the back by 2 inches at the hip level, but the waist level remain the same. This is how the front panel look like. At the hip level of the front panel, there is no waist. You don't put hip measurement. You use your waist measurement. Then at one side of the hip measurement, you're going to eliminate it on both sides so that you can get the front panel. Then the back panel has the full hip measurement at both sides. Then at the middle part of it, that's the center back panel, has extra ½ inch on each side. Let's break it down. On the front panel, from the basic panel, what we are going to do is we are going to eliminate the hip. We make use of the waist measurement at the hip line. So that is our center front panel. On the front side panel, bring back the basic panel. We are going to eliminate one side of the hips measurement using the waist measurement on one side, like as shown in this picture. Then that one is going to be ×2. That means you're cutting it 2 times. Now bring back the basic again, the basic panel. What you are going to do on this side is that you are going to add 0.5 inch on the hip level, and you adjust it like this. It's going to be ×2. That is the back side panel. Then the mid back panel is going to be like this. What you are going to do is that you are going to, first of all, rule a straight line, add 1 inch on both sides. If you've add 1 inch on both sides, bring back the panel and draw it out. It's going to be something like this. When it's something like this, what you are then going to do is that you are going to add ½ inch to the hip line on both sides. Then as well, you have add an inch to the crotch line, then connect it back to the knee line. Then at the knee line, you're going to go in towards the zip side. You're going to go in by 0.5 inch, then shape it out. So it's going to look like something like this. So this is your basic mid back panel. So we are now ready to constructing the 6 pieces panel. We are going to start with for 6 pieces skirts. Our division is going to be by 6. It's not like the normal skirt. The normal skirt, we usually have something, all our the hip measurement and the waist measurement is divisible by 4. But in 6 pieces skirt, the waist measurement and the hip measurement, they are divided by 6. So we have our hips here is 36 and our waist is 30. So when we divide them by 6, 30 divided by 6, we get 5. Then we add 1 inch for sewing allowance. And then our hips is 36. We divide by 6, we get 6, then plus 1 inch for sewing allowance. So that means when you rule a line on each side for this hip measurement is going to be 3.5 each. Then on the lower thigh line, which represent the knee line, the measurement we shall be using that of the measurement that we used on the waist line. So we are going to make use of the waist measurement at the lower thigh line, which is also the knee line. Also, the flareness of the skirt depend on the availability of material or the desirability. So we generally make use of 10 inches, 20 inches, 12 inches on fold. Now, this is the basic of drafting the 6 pieces skirts. The first line is the waist line. The second line is the hip line. The waist line is usually 9 inches from the hip line, while the second line is the crotch line. The crotch line in our measurement is 11 inches from the crotch line. It can also be calculated as hip divided by 4 plus 1. And then the fourth line is from the waistline to the knee line. Instead of using the knee line, we're going to make use of the upper thigh line, which is 4 inches away from the knee line. Then the last line is our hem line. Most Ankara fabrics comes in 6 yards. There are usually 6 layers. Each layer is 1 yard. For we to avoid wastage, what we are going to do is that we are going to remove the first 2 layers from it. We make sure that the part we are going to remove is that the part is going to be on fold, and the remaining part is going to be remaining 4 layers. That is on fold. It will be 2 on fold. So this is what we are going to make use of. This method we are using now, it avoid wastage while cutting. So look at this. This is the 2 layers we are taking out of this. We can use this layer, this particular layer, for both the shirts and the scarf. So now we start with these four layers. We go to the edge of it because we are going to be cutting on fold. So we go to the edge of it. So what we are going to be doing is that we are going to be having both sides of your 6 pieces pattern on this particular place. So we are going to start first with drafting the basic panel of a 6 pieces. We are drafting the basic panel. Like I told you before, we can also manipulate this particular panel. So we start by putting our vertical measurements, such as we start the starting point, which is your waistline, and the ending point, which is your hemline. Our hemline is from the waistline is 40. We added 2 to each, making it 42. So that's for the hemming allowance. So we impute other parameters such as the hip line, which is 9 inches away from the waistline. And then we impute the crotch line, which is 11 inches from the waistline. Then also the knee line, which is 18 inches from the waistline. We are not going to use the proper knee line. We are going to use the lower thigh line. That's 4 inches away from the actual knee line. That's what we are going to be using, like I told you before. Now, after this, what you are going to do is that you're going to input all your parameters, like your waist measurement on the waistline, your hip measurement on the hip line and on the crotch line, your waist measurement on the knee line. So our waist measurement was 30. We divided by 6. We got 5. So plus 1, we got 6. Then divide by 2 because it is on fold, so it's going to be 3 each on the waistline. So on the knee line, we have 36 divided by 6. We got 6 plus 1, that's 7, divided by 2 because it's going to be on fold, so it's going to be 3.5. We insert 3.5 on the hip line. Then as well on the crotch line, we're going to use that same measurement that we impute on the crotch line. Normally, it's not compulsory. You must make use of what you use. You must make use of the crotch line, but I use it so that we will not get a sharp end, so that at that particular point it will be curvy, it will come out curvy, because sometimes you see that you get a sharp end at that place, and it's not usually sharp as like how some people draft it. So then on the knee line, which is your upper thigh line, we will do your lower thigh line. We are going to impute our waist measurement. So then this is just how we are going to be doing it. After that, we on the hemline, we shall be using our leg. The flareness is going to be 10 inches. We are using 10 inches because of that's what we want. You can also make it 12 inches. You can make it 13 inches. You can make it 9 inches. It all depends on the availability of material and the desirability of your client. So we connect all the markings together from the hemline upward to the waistline. So this is how it is. So this particular one now we cut is going to be our basic for cutting the rest pieces of the panel. Even this one, we are still going to adjust it to suit our purpose. So like I said before, there is there's 3 panels in the front, 3 panels at the back. There's middle, and in the front you have the side panel, and in the middle you have the middle panel of the side of the front. So the middle panel is usually flat for the front panel, because you eliminate your hip measurement. You are not going to put your hip measurement on the middle panel. You are going to be using your waist measurement on the hip line. So that is the difference between that particular place. But for now, we've gotten the basic panel. So after we've gotten the basic panel, the next thing we are going to do is that, this material, there are 4. So we remove the 2 inside, remove it out, so we get the remaining 2. Then bring out that basic panel, trace it on this material again. If you've traced it out, then you make sure that the hip line and the crotch line is there. What you are going to do now is that on the hip line, you are going to add 0.5 inches to it. Then as well on the crotch line, you're going to add 0.5 inches. The waist measurement remain the same. The lower tie line measurement remain the same. Then you connect upward, like as you've seen now. Then cut it out. So this one, when you've cut it out, you're still going to readjust it again, because what you cut now is the two side panel that we are cutting now. So this two side panel at one side is bigger than the other side. The side that is facing the boot, that is facing the center, the mid panel, is bigger than the side than the side panel. So we are going to cut one side away. We are going to reduce one side of it, like lay it on the table and reduce it this method. If you've laid it on the table, that you have reduced it this method, next thing you're going to do is that means you've gotten the side back panel. So this side panel, you can label it and keep it aside. That means it's done. You understand? This is the back side panel. I use BS to represent it. So I'm done with this. Then what I'm going to do now is to do the side mid panel, the back mid panel. So this side, because this is my particular fabric is open, as in we have two edges to it. So we're going to use that edge as the zipper allowance. Again, we're going to use that basic panel that we drafted. We're going to use it to draft this back, the mid back panel. So we leave 1 inch. We're going to leave 1 inch allowance at it. That allowance that we're going to leave is the zipper allowance. So we are drawing it out. We're going to leave 1 inch allowance. So if we leave that 1 inch at that edge, what we then do now is that we take that our basic panel, put it on the fabrics, and trace it out. When we trace it out, then we go to the hip. We go to the hip line, add 0.5 inch to it. We add 0.5 inch to each. Then on the crotch line, we're still going to add another 0.5 inch to it. So if we've added it to it, then what we are then going to do now is that at the lower tie line, which is the knee line, is going to remain the same. The waist measurement is going to remain the same. We connect that line, but also know that these are boots. So at this particular place, the bottoms is sitting somewhere. So it's going to be on the other side of these markings that I'm making now, at the knee line, at our represented knee line. That's where it's going to be. So you just take note that at this particular place now, there's going to be there's going to be some reduction. The essence of that reduction is so that the bottoms can be able to sit comfortably. In that place, there's not going to be much gap. See, if you're making 6-piece skirt, if there are left over, if the contours are not well represented, then the purpose of the 6 pieces is being defeated. So now what we did now here is we added 0.5 inches to the knee, to the hip line and the crotch line, then connected back. Then we will now go back to the knee line. We will now go back to the knee line, which is our lower tie line. We go in by 1 inches. We reduce 1 inches from it. We are going to curve it out like this. Look at the way we shaped it out. So this is how it's going to be. So while you're sewing, you make sure this one goes into effect so that it's going to bring out the shape comfortably. Look at the way it is. So this is the major difference in this. This is the major difference in this particular panel. This is how it's going to look like. Then we are done with this. Now after we've cut this, the next panel we shall be cutting is our front panel. You see, this particular method you were using is that it ensures that we eliminate waste as much as possible. With this method, you're going to be having after you finish, you'll be having almost 3 yards left. You'll be having almost 3 yards left that you can use to do whatever you want to do. Even if you want to do more peplum, like you want to do two peplums, you can actually do 2 peplums on it, get your blouse, and at the same time get your hair tie from it. So this is it. We've done this. Then like I told you, the next thing we are going to be doing is the center front. In the center front, you're going to be eliminating, it's going to be flat, it's not going to be curvy. You are going to be eliminating the hip measurement. Instead of the hip measurement, we shall be using the waist measurement on the hip line. So that's the front measurement. So particularly that one, this fabric is not the first two layer. It is the one that we removed from when we first cut initially. This is what we got. So we are going to put it on fold. After we must have put it on fold, then we go to the edge and take that our basic pattern and trace it out. Then remove the hip line from it. And this is it. So if you remove it, then it will become your center front panel. So if you remove it, you become your center front panel. Then this particular basic that we have been using, then we will now convert it to what we want to use it for. Because it's not just basic, we are going to use it for the center, we are going to use it for the front side panels. Then as we are using from the front side panel, one side of it is going to be flat, while the other side is going to be curvy. You understand? One side of it is going to be flat, the other side is going to be curvy. So this one is going to be curvy. Then this is the center front panel. We cut it out. Then we will now cut. We will cut look at it. This is the center front. Look at how flat it is at the hip line. So we will now bring back the basic now. That basic pattern, we are going to adjust it appropriately. The basic pattern, one side of it is going to be flat, while the other side is going to be curvy. The side that is flat is going to join with the center front panel. So this is it. Gradually we are coming to the end of this video. What you do is that as well on your lining, if you're adding lining to it, what you are going to do is when you're adding lining, you're going to cut it out the same thing you cut, but maybe sometimes you can reduce the length of it so that the lining will not be exposed. So if you are using a full lining, then this is it. This is a basic panel we are using. You lay it flat. Make sure that the right side is facing the right side, so that because one represents left and the other one represents right. Then align it. Eliminate the waist from it. Eliminate the waist, the hip line. The hip line, so we are going to reduce ½ inches just by ruling from the waist measurement to the knee line. Rule it out, make it flat. So this is your center. This is your front side panel. This is your front side panel, and thank you for staying up to this time. If you have any question, go to the comment section and drop your question. Please kindly subscribe to our channel, share, like, and always come back.